Welcome to KCL Tech Tip Tuesday. I'm Kevin Coachman. Today we're going to talk about your private cloud storage and user data. Thanks for joining us. We're going to start with how to access the software or the latest version of the software. Go out to kclcad.com. Choose Access KCL. And you can download the KCL BIM CAD Designer software. If you're new to KCL, there's some quick start instructions, whether you're running AutoCAD, Revit, or our napkin sketch tool. If you're an existing user and you close Revit and or KCL, you can choose Modify, and then we'll look for any available Revits. Default to installing our standard software. I'd recommend current user and whatever location you'd like to put it in. Once you get the software installed, you're ready to go. KCL will open up and you'll log in the upper right corner and get yourself started. So we're going to talk today about what private cloud is and what you can do with that. Before we get to that topic, I just want to remind everyone that's joining us today or watching on our YouTube channel that KCL subscriptions include a site license for unlimited users based out of one location. You can use KCL under the same license from home or remote use if you're traveling, and that's where the private cloud comes into play. If either you have multiple computers or you have multiple users that are in different locations, you can have multiple licenses if you have multiple locations, or the ability to log in from anywhere and share the data either among yourself or with other users. So once I'm logged in, anything that I'm going to work on is part of my KCL Coachman company. So just because I put in data, none of you will see it, only if it's system data from the manufacturers. And the same works for your custom data. So you can add CAD blocks, Revit families, spec sheets, layer mapping, custom schedules, custom balloons. Those are all part of your private cloud. And let's take a look at what information is in that private cloud. So we'll start with balloons. As an example I have here, under balloon settings, I hit my balloon shape, and you have the standard KCL ones, but I have some others available. If I look at demo, hit my arrow to show me a preview. So this one that I have has a leader line on it. If I change to a KCL standard one and preview it, it's just the standard shape. So you can add as many custom balloons, and we have other demos, webinars on how to do that detail, but it's part of your private cloud. Anyone in my company has access to my customized balloons. Very helpful if you like to change for different clients, different types of drawings. All of your basic settings, even if you want to set up custom layers for KCL, it's part of your private cloud. If I go to layer mapping, which we'll have a separate webinar later today on, you can have as many layer maps as you want, and they're all stored in your KCL private cloud. So no matter where you log in from, you can choose your layer mapping. And if you take a quick look, you'll see that my colors changed because this REB standards that I was playing with had a green layer 200. And I'm back to the standard yellow. So layer mapping, balloons, schedules. Under templates, there's the KCL default templates that you cannot change, but you can create your own templates that everyone in your private library, private cloud will be able to access. So those are a few of the highlights, and hopefully that makes sense. We're going to get into the big part, which is the user data and manufacturers, but we want you to be aware that when you make a change in KCL, you have the option when you're saving it to make sure it's named so you can share it with your coworkers, different clients, what type of schedules, whatever you need to do, and you don't have to remember to carry it with you if you go to a different computer, homework, on the road, it's all there. So those are just a few, as we said, schedule templates, layer mapping, balloon settings, even groups are part of your private cloud that no matter where I log in from, I can get to my different groups. Again, we have additional webinars that get into the details of groups and schedules and other templates. So in general, make changes to KCL. We'll save it for you in the cloud. You can access it from anywhere. So the big one is, how do I add data? That's where you're going to get the most productivity. If you have a Windows folder that has CAD blocks or Revit families, that's fine. But when you go home, you go on the road, you cannot access that. So we're going to show you how to add some data here. If when you're looking at my screen, you see there's blue text, these are user data. And because not everyone sees colors as well, we add the word parentheses user to identify that. So if we look closely, Bev 195 is a standard item, but a Bev 195 user has a user spec. If I look at a Bev 160, standard water filter, but if I look at the user version, I have a block that represents a sink. So we protect the manufactured data that if you have multiple users, they cannot change the manufactured data, but they can create user data. So we're just going to take a look at one of these items. At the top, you have an edit manufacturer or add. We're going to start with edit. When you hit the add or edit button, if you see the word demo or restricted, that means you do not have the proper permissions to modify data. By default, all users are read-only. It's very simple to hit the contact us button at the top, send us a note. You can even put in a subject, power user. Please make me a power user. You can send yourself a copy if you want to. And now we'll get a note with your information that says make you a power user. Depending on your company's setup, we may just go ahead and do it. If we see a lot of users, we may check with your company administrator first, because not every group wants every user to be able to make changes. So try it again. I'll hit edit. Mine says private, part of my private cloud. I can modify the model number. Seems a bit silly, but I can do that. I can change the category. I can also change what my CAD schedule text. So if you're an AutoCAD or napkin sketch user, I can change this to water filter. When I run a schedule in AutoCAD or napkin sketch, this is my text instead of the text up above. I can click on the media tab and I can change my spec sheet and browse to a different one. I need to find a PDF that I might want to use. We'll just go grab something maybe that we're working on. So it's going to override that with my own. I can change my pictures. I can go to the AutoCAD tab, and you can see there's 6 possible views. I can go in and change to a different drawing. What scale are you working at? And you can see the preview of it here. When I save it, it'll send it up to the KCL server, and we'll go from there. Let's do a Revit. Same thing, I can change a Revit. When I hit save, it'll push it. But before I do that, we're going to look at utilities. Utility data here is for AutoCAD and Napkin Sketch. Revit Utility is part of the Revit family. But I can modify or add utility data or user data to this item. I can put in a list price. KCL has a budget report. If you want that to show, you put a list price. So when I'm done, I hit save. Depending on how many changes, we're uploading a Revit file, a CAD block, as well as a spec sheet. I now see a DP190 user. It's a different Revit, a different CAD. And if I go to send this over to AutoCAD, my schedule text would say water filter. Oh, I guess I did forget to do that. Water filter, save it here. I can see it down here as well. That'll have separate text for AutoCAD and Revit. So you are able to change almost every piece of data that KCL has for a given item with just a couple clicks. If I go back to look at the item again, it will tell me who last updated the information and when. So if you have multiple users that are power users, there is no hiding of I didn't do it. We will show the last user that made the change. If I go look here and I hit edit, I can see it was me last month. I didn't realize I did that. So I was hoping to see a different name. So we've got user items from existing. We also have the ability to add. I can add to 3M. I can clear it and add to any existing manufacturer in the KCL list, or I can hit the plus and make a new manufacturer. I can put in address information. I'm just going to call it Kevin05 is the nickname. So if you want to put your full contact information in, you can. I add a new manufacturer, model 123. When I go to select a category, I can pick from the 4,000 categories, or I can add my own user categories. Again, as I showed earlier, if I go ahead and pick a category, I can tell it in the schedule text something else. I'm just going to put single cold pan drop-in. So I can use what KCL has, but label it different. Just like before, picture, spec sheet, AutoCAD, Revit, utility data. You even have the ability to add your own specs as well. On the media tab, there are doc links if I wanted a link to manuals. As I said, almost everything that we have, you can link in, hit save. Considering it's going back and forth to the server, reloading the database, it's pretty quick. And anyone else in the KCL Coachman company will see this. I now will have a new manufacturer. If you remove all items from a user manufacturer, then that manufacturer will disappear. It will take a night to do that. But now I have two Kevin manufacturers. And here's the one that I just added. So if I go in here and say remove it. Tomorrow, when I open up my KCL, there will only be the one custom Kevin manufacturer. You can add as many manufacturers as you want. You can add as many user items as you want. At this time, we have no limit on your Revit, CAD, or spec sheets. So use KCL as that storage tool. We think it's a little bit easier than, say, Dropbox or ShareFile or other folder systems because you are able to search for it integrated with all the other manufactured data. Last thing we want to talk about with user data is I've got 130 some thousand items here. To find my user files, yeah, it's nice that they're blue and I've got a bunch on this page because 3M is my test manufacturer. But we're going to show you a quick tip here. To the left of model number, it shows filters. If I say only show me my user data, now I'm looking at any user data that I added or edited. I have worked with users who have 300, 400, 500 items. This is the way they like to start because now my manufacturer list is only 20 manufacturers, only the ones that I have user data for. My category list is only about 40 because again, it's only the user data. So this lets me search faster than I can, searching through 135,000 items. Last little tip is if you have users in your company that use Napkin Sketch, maybe you have AutoCAD or Revit, they're a Napkin Sketch user, any CAD blocks that are added, let's go find one here, can be sent to Napkin Sketch. So if you add user blocks, then your salespeople can use them in Napkin Sketch. So if you have custom configurations that they'd like to have out in the field, when they open up their KCL and use Napkin Sketch, they can access your customized items that you've put in because everyone can see the user data. So that's just a little tip for the Napkin Sketch users. As always, I like to review again. You can contact us with questions, set up a private webinar for your team, hit contact us, pick a topic, type one in, send us a note. If you like videos and webinars like today, in the upper right corner, there's a YouTube button that takes you out to the KCL YouTube page. You'll see the last few webinars we did. The video button will go back a little bit further, and we try to rotate these videos every few months to make sure you can access what's new and hopefully exciting to you from KCL. So again, you can subscribe to our KCL YouTube page. Thank you very much for joining us today.